Hey, guys. Altovise here, host of the Unmuted Intelligence Podcast. Guys, I am so excited to come and bring this conversation to you guys today. Because listen, can I just tell you, as a podcaster, I've had the amazing opportunity to connect with some awesome people. And so, with the Unmuted Intelligence podcast, I get to bring some even more amazing people to this platform. So, with that being said, guys, listen, you want to make sure that you tune in. Come in, join the conversation, ask your questions, share it out. Why? Because this is all about being able to have this conversation and allow it to change you in some way that allows you to be able to elevate in life and in business. With that being said, Altovise Pelzer here again. I unmute the voice of women who are ready to speak up about what has kept her silent for way too long. Part. And listen, we have been rocking and rolling with this Unmuted Intelligence podcast. I love the feel. I love the results. I love the feedback, you guys. This is about to be an amazing conversation. Because listen, everybody needs a little extra clean every once and again. But also, I love the particular guest I have on today. I've had him on the hashtag Speak Easy podcast, and man, I'm still getting feedback from his episode. So, with that being said, I want to say hello to my guest for today.
Hey, great. I'm happy to be back again.
Yes, I love it. So I again, of course, I got so much feedback from when you were on the Speak Easy podcast because people were like, we think about when building a business and we think about all of these fancy things we have to do and we should be in this industry and we got to learn tech and we got to and then when you did your episode people were like, wait, let's go back. We can do some other things and make a six-figure business. So with that being said, I would love for you to introduce yourself to the studio audience.
Well, thanks again for having me on the show, and you're absolutely correct. There is success can be found in simplicity, and I guess that's what best defines my business success of over 40 years. Back in 1981, I was working a full-time job and decided I couldn't see myself doing that the rest of my life. So I needed to find some way to work for myself. Unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have the best education. I barely graduated high school. And as a result, it didn't have a lot of skills. So I started looking at different opportunities. What could I do for the rest of my life? And I recalled that my dad, who had recently passed away at the time back in 1981, he was a caretaker or a janitor for the public school system, and he oftentimes would do his own side gigs. Back then it was called spare times, but he was maybe an original side hustler. And he would cut grass, he would shovel snow, but he also cleaned up litter from a parking lot in the neighborhood. And he had taken me along with him a couple times when I was a young teenager growing up. And I remembered how easy that job, that side gig of his was to do. We would walk the exterior property, the sidewalks, parking lots, surrounding landscape, and clean up litter material into our collection tools. And in just a matter of minutes each day, you know, we'd be done. It was almost as easy to do as going for a walk. So with that memory, I decided to see if there was a market for this business full time. And just the internet of the day back in 1981 was the big yellow pages telephone directory. You remember that? Or maybe you weren't born back then. But I started making cold calls. I phoned property management companies or real estate management companies. And about 3 or 4 calls, I struck gold. The property manager at the other end of the line said, what's a very opportune time for you to be calling us, because we had just had this discussion in our office that we needed to find somebody who would show up, and who was reliable and would clean up the litter from our property. And so I was successful. I sent him contract proposals. I got 3 of his buildings, and it all started from there. And I've been doing it for over 40 years, and I still do it because I love the work. It's simple. It's almost as easy to do as going for a walk. but I get paid to do it.
And I love that you said that, because for so many people, listen, we're in a time where it's a shift. It's a real big shift for people. And where they may have been working a job that may have paid them the money that they wanted, but it wasn't fulfilling them. It wasn't something that at the end of the day they felt like, wow, I did something that actually made a difference in my community. I did something that made a difference, for my children, for my grandchildren. And so I love what it is that you're doing, because it also has that component to it. When you, at the end of the day, when you turn around and you look, you're like, wow, maybe somebody will feel a little bit better about the community that they're in, because look at how beautiful it is.
Well, and you're right. And, I have to back up a bit and just say, when I started this business, I decided it had to be two things. And it had to satisfy my need. I had to feel good with what I was doing, but it also had to provide the income that I was looking for. And let's not kid anyone. I mean, I'm making really good money doing this, and as is other people that are doing this. I mean, not a lot of people like to do it or want to do it. And the key is, if you're reliable, if you show up and you do the work and you go a little bit beyond and provide that extra value of maybe being an extra set of eyes for your clients and letting them know about certain things and making their jobs easier, they're going to love you. And you don't have to worry about having enough work. Like I've had some clients for almost 40 years, because they know I'm going to show up, I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do, but I'm also going to let them know if somebody's dumped off a mattress at the back of the property, or if someone's run over a stop sign. And they really appreciate the extra value, and it all comes down to customer service. And like I say, anybody can clean, but not everybody will go the extra distance and look after their customers.
Ooh, going the extra distance. So, for those of you who are coming in, I see you guys on the different platforms. Thank you for joining the conversation. Guys, this is Brian, and he is the author of Cleanlots, a parking lot litter removal business you can be proud of. And, I just have to be honest in saying that when we think about entrepreneurship, when we think about building a business, oftentimes we try to, think about all of the things that are online, because we are in such a time where there is a lot of popular ways for us to be able to make money online. And we forget some of the simplest things that are still needed. And I think that was something that you guys can definitely hear as Brian was talking, because this is something that's still needed. It is. This is something that is needed and necessary. I see Eureka over on Facebook, and I see Fraser from over in Scotland. He's chiming in over on Facebook as well. So, having that understanding puts us in a different perspective. It allows us to say it can be, again, the simple things. It doesn't have to be something that is outlandish. It doesn't have to be something that is at a level where we're also taking on more than we can handle. And so it's definitely something that we don't have to worry about when it comes to, taking on more than we can handle. As an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as just listen, you can do something right now that is relevant to your own community, that's relevant to your own lifestyle. There are still people that need seamstress. There are still people that need chefs, are still needed in the world, guys. Listen, there are so many things that you need that are right now, right here, that you can provide. And so going back and knowing and understanding, what is it that I can definitely provide? And listen, when I provide that, how much of a how much of a business, like what's the longevity of this? Because Brian just told you guys he's been doing this for 40 years, you guys, 40 years. Listen, some of us, the ideas that we have in our head, if we really sit down and kind of map it out, it could be something that has a lifespan of 40 years. Can y'all imagine that?
Well, litter isn't seasonal and litter doesn't go away. People always toss their empty coffee cups and fast food wrappers outside in parking lots, even with litter containers only steps away. I don't understand the psychology of that. I'm not going to explain it, but it puts money in my pocket, and it's an essential service that is recession proof and actually pandemic proof. Besides the usual litter material like cigarette butts and the aforementioned material, 2 years ago at the onset of this pandemic, we noticed a lot of people tossing their masks in parking lots outside grocery stores, for example. And we don't handle that. We don't touch it with our hands. We have unique and very simple hand tools that allow us to safely and clean up this material and dispose of it, without risk to our health. But it's made an awareness of our clients and our prospects and the general public, especially now these days, for the need to regularly maintain or clean litter material up from commercial properties. So it's been a boon for our business, actually.
Now, the other piece of this, Ryan, is so what led to deciding that you were going to put this in a book? Because like I said, I know the conversation we had previously on the hashtag Speak Easy podcast, and I'm still getting feedback from it because the fact that like a few statements that you said really stood out to people. And one of those statements was that has been a six-figure business for you continuously for years.
Exactly. And so, it was about 4 years into the business that I realized that this was a great opportunity that I should share with other people, and not just people that were like from my background, not a lot of money, not a lot of skills or education, but for anyone who wanted to make a difference in their community and would enjoy working outdoors, providing this service. So when I started this, it was as a side hustle, and about 3 or 4 months in, I was making more money working part time, from my side gig than I was from my full time job. So it wasn't rocket science. I quit my job, and I had more time to put into the business, and quickly scaled it into a successful one man operation where I was doing over $100,000 a year just working for myself, and I was quite content just doing that. And I had a number of clients that came to me and said, "Brian, we need you at more places." And I can't be everywhere at the same time. So that's when I started recruiting people to do a lot of the cleanup for me. And we continue to grow. And I scaled the business from just a simple one man operation that could do six figures to one that, routinely we bill out 650 to $700,000 a year, just cleaning up litter from parking lots.
Oh, I love that. Now we have Fraser who's listening in, and he's from Scotland, and he has a cleaning company over in Scotland, which is, he does, the inside. He does carpets and things like that as well. And so it's interesting to see that, which businesses, which types of companies and industries have that longevity. Because even when we think about everything that we've gone through in the last 2 years with the pandemic and everything, it has been an increase for you guys that are in this industry. Whereas there are other industries that kind of, they faded away. They definitely faded away. But there's really been some real key industries that have pushed forward, and yours is definitely one of them. So I definitely commend you for, sticking through the harder times. Because let's be honest, I know that there's probably been a time or two where you looked and said, I don't know if this was the right choice.
Well, that's right. When I was younger, I would sometimes get frustrated with the number of people that didn't show any respect, I guess, to private property, and felt it was acceptable just to toss their trash anywhere. But then I soon realized that because of their habits, I would have a business for the rest of my life. Attitudes I haven't really seen change over the last 40 years. Now, I want to point out too that you know uh, my service is being provided by somebody in every city. It's either maybe a landscaper that's doing it, or it could be a day porter service from a large cleaning company. But the reason my business model has been successful for over 40 years is because we provide our service after hours, when it should be done, when we can clearly see and clean all material from the entire exterior property before the business is open. And that's the key. Nobody really is satisfied with maybe a landscaper showing up at midday trying to attempt to clean up litter, cars that are parked in the parking lot. But sure, they can cut the grass, but they're not going to be able to do as good a job cleaning up litter material as we can do, for example. And and like I say, the key to our success is providing that reporting, so our clients first thing in the morning every day are made aware of any of the issues, like someone dumping something off at the back of the building, fresh graffiti on the property. So we're in essence making their jobs easier, and that's what's made our business model so successful for 40 years and going forward.
That's interesting too, because I know we're at a place where we're looking and seeing how entrepreneurship is opening up the opportunities for other people. And you did say that you have hired people under you because it has been successful for such a long time, because you're in a demand. There are people that they need your service. And I love that perspective too, because you would think most people would say, well, I'm going to do it when I see everybody else doing it. And so doing it at night is definitely stepping outside of the norm for, when you would see somebody going and doing landscaping or doing, cleanup. Even when we think about the government trucks that come out, right? And sweep the street, you would think that they would be out there when there's less traffic, but they're
Yeah.
usually not.
Well, we generally provide our service in the early morning hours, like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, typically before business is open. So, we're not really out in the evening hours or around midnight. Like, some people think, oh, I don't want to be up at midnight. But a lot of the people that work for us, they have full-time jobs during the day. So they like the ability to go in and put in 2 or 3 hours working for us before they go to work in the morning. And so it's worked out really well for some people. And some of the people that work for us too, they might have an office job, but they're looking for something different where they get a little bit of activity, and they get some fresh air, and they're out early in the morning, and they get their work done, and then they go to their office job during the day. So you don't have to be somebody who you know strictly says, well, I want an online opportunity or an offline opportunity. Everyone's motivated for different reasons.
That's powerful. Those of you that are checking in, welcome, welcome. This is the Unmuted Intelligence Podcast. I am excited about this conversation because we are in a time where we can definitely make some shifts and adjustments. We can look at other opportunities, right? And we can say yes to the things that bring our heart joy. We can say yes to the things that allow us to smile and want to go to work each and every day. I'm excited to have my guest Brian here, who, listen, as a business owner, he's been in this industry for 40 plus years, you guys. And that is significant because there are so many other people that will start something and start and stop, or they won't see it through past a year or 2 years because they don't necessarily see the success in that first year. And so, with that being said, in your first year to your first 5 years, because we know as entrepreneurs, that's normally what they say, is that entrepreneurs don't make it past the first 5 years, right? So, in that first 5 years for you, what did that look like for you in building this?
Well, it was a lot of growth, personal growth, because I had to learn how to do things. I didn't have that college degree, or a degree in business. education or anything like that. So it was all, learning trial from error. And I was fortunate that I chose an industry where there's always going to be in demand for my service as opposed to jumping into maybe a fad business. We all remember the video stores, how they were located in every corner, and you know they went the way of the dodo, and then I don't know. Do you remember for a while bagels were really popular? I mean, bagel shops were opening up everywhere, and
Yeah, I
and uh,
remember those too.
and
And
so
it's
a
funny,
lot of
I live in a small town, so we still have one here.
well, you know what? We have them too, but the grocery stores seem to have taken over that. I
Yes.
mean, but I feel bad for all those little corner shops, the people that invested a lot of money and their life savings into these franchises that came and went. But like I say, i- i- if you're not looking necessarily at a litter cleaning business, look at something where there's always going to be a demand for that service. And the great thing about a cleaning business is people are always going to look for somebody to do cleaning for them. And in my case, you know, people always litter, and it always needs to be cleaned up. And with my niche, which is cleaning up litter from parking lots outside commercial properties, the people that own these commercial developments, I mean, there's a lot of money sunk into these developments, and they want to make sure their properties appreciate and not depreciate. So they make sure to maintain their properties, and whatever they have to do to make sure that the community is happy, and their tenants are happy, and the clientele that visit their businesses are happy with the appearance of their properties. They're going to spend the money to upkeep, and so we've been really fortunate to have that type of clientele.
I love this. Oh, one of the things also, we talked about it offline before we came online. We talked about some of the significant things that we use when, you would think about your particular industry. And of course, two of the major things that come up are a broom and trash bags. And so it was interesting because you highlighted some things about these two things that was not something that I would think about initially, but I was like, okay, I definitely see why this is important because when we think about what we buy for our own homes, let's be honest, trash bags, we may not always be picky about it. The broom, you kind of have your preference. And so, with that being said, why don't you talk to them about why you choose the broom that you choose?
Okay, well, to each his own, but my brother, he prefers corn broom with the bristle the way it is, and it's a heavier or thicker handle. Uh, Personally, myself, I like a poly bristle. It's a bit stiffer, and it's got a more slender handle, which is easier for me to handle with my hand. And so, it's all personal preference. Yeah, I mean, you just basically have to know what you like and try different things, and whatever works for you, that's your choice.
And in making that choice, we also talked about the trash can liners. Now, listen, I have to say this for the longest time, I would just get whatever trash bags were on sale. I know. It's not always a good thing. And I know that the unmuted intelligence audience is going to be like, oh my goodness, Altovise, why would you say that? But recently, my son has been buying a particular brand of trash bag, and I love it.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that I would have a preference for a trash bag. But when we were talking earlier, you talked about the preference for the trash liners that you use. And so, why don't you tell the studio audience a little bit about that?
Well, a lot of people that buy my book, one of the common questions is, Brian, what size trash liner do I need for these common area litter containers that I have to change out? And from my experience, the best size is a 35 by 50, and that fits almost every single, litter container that's out there. And they come actually surprisingly, or maybe not, perhaps not, but in three different grades. There's the regular, there's the strong, and there's the super strong or extra strong. And I've just found from experience over the years that you don't need to pay extra for the super strong or extra strong, but don't skimp out on the cheap kind, because you don't want to pull a trash liner out and the bottom rips out. But but just get the strong size, and then you'll be safe, and be glad that that's what your choice is.
That part right there, guys. And listen, I know I'll probably get messages from you guys telling me which trash bag is going to be the best. But I have to say that it's definitely um, it's been a maturity thing. It's been over time that I've looked at what I prefer, and that speaks volumes because when you are looking at things for your home, for your business, what are your preferences? Are you actually going after the things that are your preferences, or are you checking the box to make sure that they're a certain price? And I think, you know, at some point in the business, in the beginning, we may check because of the price, but over time, these are things that you've learned over time, especially with what you just said about the trash bags. Over time, guys, it has to be a preference for what we choose because we know what's going to be best for our business and what's going to allow us to be able to work at a higher level of excellence. And that is definitely one of the things that I've seen you be able to do in your industry, Brian, was work at a high level of excellence. When you say that you have a clientele that you've had for 40 years, that means that you have to work at a high level of excellence in order for them to say, I want to keep having you come back. So, with that being said, one of your clients that you've had the longest, what have been some significant things that have occurred that made that a relationship business wise that has stood the test of time?
Well, my longest customer, actually, he's the son that took over from his father. I originally started doing this property for his dad for a number of years, and then his son took over the business, and I continue, serving his property needs. But yeah, you have to, like I say, provide that extra service, not just go out and clean. But your customers will often wonder, well, you know what? I'm paying this guy to clean up my properties, but I'm not hearing much from him. I'm not getting much communication, and that's what separates our business model from many others. Is we provide that constant communication, and he really appreciates that. But more so, it develops that relationship, and after a while, you get to know each other, and you feel that there's more of not just maybe necessarily a business relationship, but you get to know each other over the years, and you talk about personal things like your kids playing football, are they playing baseball, etc., and it helps solidify that relationship, and they're more likely to want to continue to do more business with you. If they The great thing about our clientele is property management companies, they manage more than one property. They manage maybe a half dozen, a dozen, or maybe 20 or 30, depending on the size of the operation. So if they try you out at one of their properties and they like the service that you're providing, they're more likely to call upon you to do more work at their other properties. And so you only really need a handful of clients to be pretty busy, and make really good money. And some of the people that buy my book, maybe they're only interested in doing this on the side. And some did what I did. They started as a side hustle, and then they scaled it up, and they eventually leave their full-time job, and they provide the service full time. And so, but irregardless of whether it's a side hustle or full time, I offer free support in my book as one of the ways of giving back to a business that's done so well for me and my family, but also a way to honor the memory of my dad. I think he would have been very proud of what I have done, where I took his side hustle and I turned it into such a successful business. And I really get a kick out of hearing success stories from different people, and a lot of those testimonials are on my website.
I love that. So, guys, as we wrap up today's episode, I want you guys to understand some key things that were said just now was that communication is really important and relationship building is really important. And these are models uh, that we've seen that over time they are still very valuable in business. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. He talked about customer service. Can we talk about it? Because listen, we understand good customer service and bad customer service. And it definitely will make a mark. It will leave you with that memory. If it's really good, it will give you a good memory, and if it's really bad, man, oh man, you will not forget that experience. And so looking at relationship building and communication as valuable tools for us to not only build a business, but to be able to excel in that business is very important. So I thank you so much for sharing that. So, with that being said, I would love for you to tell the studio audience how they can reach out to you for more information. And guys, his book, Cleanlots, is right down in the carousel on Amazon. Definitely go ahead and check that out. And Brian, you can take it away.
Well, of course, you can order the book on Amazon or also from my website, cleanlots.com. And on my website, cleanlots.com, there is a free PDF download if you're considering this opportunity. It's a free report that kind of details more of the opportunity, and you kind of find out if it's right for you or not. And then also on my website, on the second page, opportunity, there's a 3-minute video that shows me doing the work. And so you get a feel and you can actually see with your own eyes how I do what I do. And like I say, it's almost as easy to do as going for a walk.
Thank you again so much, Brian. I appreciate you being a guest on the show today. Listen, this has been amazing. And if you need anything, you can always reach out.
Oh, thank you. I really enjoyed being here.
Muted Intelligence Podcast. You guys, listen, this has been yet another great episode. You guys saw that his book is down in the carousel. It is Clean Lots. It is found on Amazon. Definitely go check that out. Don't think that business idea that is too late for you to try it. Don't think that thing that you love to do can't be something that you create a business with. It most definitely can be. I love that Brian gives that mentorship and that accountability. If this is the industry that you want to be in, definitely reach out and stay connected to him. Trust me, I always get great feedback when he is a guest on the show. And so, Clean Lots, a parking lot litter removal business you can be proud of. And he is definitely someone that is proud of his. You guys